expected, ISIS may have found another sadistic killer to replace Jihadi John. A newly released ISIS video shows a man wearing a mask, speaking with a British accent, and in the video, the man mocks British Prime Minister David Cameron. Joining us to go on the record, former Israeli Prime Minister, former Israeli Defense Minister, and the jointly most decorated soldier in Israel's history, Ehud Barak. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, what's your reaction tonight to the video? David Cameron is obviously condemning it, but your reaction to that ISIS video?
I think ISIS is very good and very skillful in using the internet and the YouTube. We don't have to take this kind of threat very seriously. The UK should keep the course of acting against ISIS as it did in the recent year.
And sir, when we spoke once before, I think it was last summer, I think you told me that you could defeat ISIS. Could you defeat ISIS if you were in charge of this?
No, I do not pretend to be in charge of it, but ISIS is clearly dangerous but defeatable. It should be defeated on the ground. It should be defeated by ground forces led by Muslims, not by crusaders, so to speak. Foreigners can support. Air support can help with intelligence, with special forces, but it should be led by the Muslims. It should be taken in Iraq, mainly by the Iraqi army, probably the Kurds, and taking Mosul the same way that Ramadi was taken. And in Syria, it's a little bit more complicated. By Raqqa should be defeated by ground forces, probably the rebels, probably the Turks. No-fly zone is essential. It's not easy to establish it now with the Russians flying over there. But even the Russians should be, once they are there, they should be braced or put into this collective effort. And I think that they are defeatable, but we should have no illusions. The wider net of radical Muslim terror, including Al-Qaeda, Jabhat al-Nusra, you name it, Lashkar-e-Taiba, or Boko Haram in Nigeria and the others, they are quite resilient force, and it will be a generational war before we put them into the ground.
What is the next step for the United States? What should we be doing?
I think you should act in Iraq to make sure that Mosul is attacked by overwhelming force and as early as possible in order to be defeated, and that in Syria, serious steps are taken either to bring in Turkey or to accelerate the talks. But I think that what happens now in Saudi Arabia is part of a deliberate play of the Saudis to make sure that once peace, so to speak, talks in Syria start or talks about the future of Syria, they are not shoved out of the table. You have to remember Syria has 80% or probably more of Sunnite, not Shiite. And for them to see the whole world and Iran and Hezbollah helping Assad, which is Alawite, to turn over and to take over the Sunnite population, it's a great kind of worry for the future.
What do you predict, looking at those pictures, a video of the Saudi Arabia embassy being ransacked and looted in Tehran?
It reminds us of another kind of embassy being ran over and sacked, but basically that's part of a game between the two. The Saudis responded very clearly or very quickly. Both Bahrain, Sudan, the Emirates joined them. We still have to follow, but it's clear that the Saudis are feeling gradually under an emerging siege.
Yeah. And over the weekend, in the last couple of days, there was a shooting in Tel Aviv, and there is a manhunt for a suspect. Do you know if they're any closer to finding him? You know any more information about this?
No, I do not know. I assume that probably he will be found somehow in the coming few days. It was quite a tough event, and some people are worried now, but Israel is a seasoned fighting society. We had seen much worse pictures in the same very street of Dizengoff in Tel Aviv in the past, and we will overcome this one as well. And this whole wave of terror with knives and now with shooting will be crushed by Israel the same way that the previous ones were crushed by us.
Mr. Prime Minister, thank you very much for joining us. It's always nice to talk to you, sir.
Thank you.